Hey, this is Randy. Wanted to do a quick video. I get a lot of people wondering what it is exactly that I do for money. And aside from a lot of eBay sales, this is what I've always been good at, and it's what I'll probably do as long as I'm capable of doing it. This is a 2002 Ford Focus, and it's got a lot of problems. As you can see, I've got a good bit of the engine torn down. It actually caught on fire. Here's the side of the block where I've got a lot of parts removed. The underside of the block where I've got the catalytic converter dropped down right there. And this car is a lot of work. I bought it for $450. I expect that I'll have it up and running and probably in drivable condition tomorrow. I'll actually probably get it done tonight, but won't be able to make sure that it's in drivable condition till tomorrow. Anyway, $450. You know, not a bad deal for a decent old car. Cold air conditioning. Now, what happened is, the lady sold it to me, told me that it had an oil leak. She said it needed a valve cover. She didn't seem to know what she was talking about when it came to cars, so I assumed that she meant it needed a valve cover gasket. Well, here is the valve cover, and there's a bunch of crap that came off of it. As you can see, there's silicone all over it. That was my doing. On the way home, the car caught on fire, and turned out it had been on fire before, and it was pouring oil out of the valve cover right here where it had ignited. The cause of the problem after I tore a lot of the engine down turned out to be the positive crankcase ventilation system was clogged, which is in the back of the engine. Can't really show it to you. I can show you part of it right here. This actually bolts to the engine like so. Here's your PCV valve, and then it sucks the blow-by excess pressure, air pressure inside of the crankcase back into the intake manifold, where it tries to reburn any unused gases and stuff that are inside of the crankcase. What somebody did is apparently there was a vacuum leak, and instead of replacing a $30 dealer part and fixing it properly, they took a ball of electrical tape and jammed it down inside of the crankcase so that it couldn't breathe, which caused the engine to clog up severely. Too much air pressure built up inside of it, blew out the valve cover gasket, and started pouring oil on the exhaust manifold. I can even show you where the exhaust manifold was on fire because it's still black. Right there. I think you can see all that black is where the oil was pouring and eventually ignited. Motor oil does burn. So does transmission fluid, especially dirty motor oil that may have been slightly contaminated with fuel that wasn't completely burned during combustion. In any case, on the side of the motor here, there's supposed to be parts all over there. It burned them, melted them. Hoses were burned and melted. Wires down there burned and melted. Did quite a bit of damage. Went to drive the car home because the lady told me that it drove fine, just needed a little bit of work. She didn't bother telling me that there were wires that were melted and it was dark. It was a cheap car, so I jumped on it. But here is a comparison. This right here is the sorry, my allergies. Complete thermostat housing that bolts to the engine. It's got coolant hoses and stuff like that. As you can see, it is melted pretty bad. It burned up. This is the new one, what it's supposed to look like. You can see it's nice and clean and not melted. So that's no good. I got a aftermarket, or not aftermarket, it's original equipment, but junkyard valve cover with gasket right there. Got some new parts over there, some hoses that melted, and turned out afterwards I found out the transmission was messed up too. Turns out the transmission has a bad solenoid, which causes it not to shift, and this is one of the transmission shift solenoids. I got 2 of them just to be certain it was going to work. In this case, it's shift solenoid A, which causes there to be no overdrive, and it basically just goes into neutral and starts revving. This right here is a crankshaft positioning sensor. As you can see, it is burned and melted severely. I'm sure it wasn't working anymore. The car still ran without it. Here's an here's one I pulled from junkyard today. So I got my work cut out for me. I've got the engine torn down basically to the point of I've cleaned the mating surfaces. As you can see, it's basically time to start putting her back together, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to get this engine put back together and tear the transmission down after I get the engine finished, and replace the shift solenoid, the filter, pan gasket, and 5 quarts of the fluid. And hopefully tomorrow I'll have a new video that shows this thing actually running, and maybe a quick test drive of it. Anyway, thanks for watching.